I wonder if this is working. I think it's working. Ooh, I don't know how to make that go away. Well, off to a fabulous start. Hello, magical people. Oop. Jeez, having technical issues right off the bat because I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, so, let's try that again. Hello, magical people. My name is Lou, and this is my first live stream, as if that wasn't abundantly apparent. I'm wicked nervous. This is deeply terrifying, but here I am, and we'll see how it goes. I have a leather project that I am kind of going to be working on because I don't really trust myself to know what I'm going to say. So I figured at the very least this would be an excellent way to ease myself into live streaming by also having a second camera, just showing a project that I wanted to work on today anyhow. What is that? Is that my water bottle? Yes, it is. Okay. So yeah. So anyhow, this is a leather bag that I made about a month ago that is based off of some the bib of some overalls, my favorite overalls. And so I've been using it for about a month and a half now, and I really like it, but it's not perfect. There are many aspects of it that are pretty great, but there's a few things that I wanted to update, and I also wanted to just make a second one out of this leather, which is different, obviously. I mean, it's obviously a different color, but additionally, it is a different gauge, a different thickness, but both veg tanned, so veg tanned leather tends to age really nicely. Okay, so right, oops, okay, so there's that. All right, so anyhow, where I am on this so far is, so this is the bag that I've made. I think I'm probably showing this to y'all in a way that you can see. And as you can see, there's a sort of pocket here and then second level pockets here. And I have found that that just doesn't really work when I put things in all of the pockets. Then it just kind of, it's just not the greatest design. So I do like the sort of slimline version of it here. So I am going to be making the next one. This one is about an inch or so bigger, width-wise as well as height-wise. And I think I'm probably going to make it a half an inch or 3/4 of an inch thicker too. Hope that's not too loud. I wonder if anybody will show up. I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Like, part of me is really kind of relying on the notion of people showing up to give me things to talk about. But until then, like I said, we're just going to stick with what we know, which, sorry if that was super loud, anybody watching this on the playback. Yeah. So anyhow, instead this time I'm going with just a singular pocket, so this is going to be the front, probably not very super easy to see, but yeah, so I guess I'm just going to work on this and maybe not even do a whole lot of talking for a few minutes, just to see what happens. So the first thing that I need to do here is I need to make a couple decisions, because it is advantageous, and I have learned this through quite a bit of trial and error. It's advantageous to put your hardware on before you do a whole lot of piecing together of the pieces, which probably is something that many of you out there would just instinctively know. I did not, so I had to learn that the hard way. But in order to decide where I want the clasp, I'm just going to, again, use this bag as an example. In order to decide where I want the clasp, I need to make the final decision on how deep I want it to be and how long I want the flap to be. It's probably, I might be being a little bit of a perfectionist here. I'm not sure, especially since leather is so flexible, that makes a gigantic difference. But I'm persnickety, so I do have a preference for that. So my favorite thing about this bag, just by the way, is actually the strap, and I'm pretty proud of this. So one, I made it using these things that rotate, because it just super sucks when you have a bag and the strap gets all tangled and then you need to, I don't know, it's a pain in the ass. It's always something that's kind of annoyed me. So these are twisty, which means if my strap gets twisted, it's really easy to untwist. The strap is also, I can take it right off, super easy. So if instead I wanted to just latch this to a belt or something like that, I could. And then the other thing I did with this strap is I made it adjustable. So I can either kind of carry it like crosswise across the front of my body, either in the front or in the back. And if I need a little bit more or less room to manipulate that, then I can just sort of attach. I have 3 different settings and can certainly add more. But then I also made this setting so I can wear it around my waist. So it's kind of like both a like crossbody bag and also a sort of fanny pack. And then of course, oops, you can, wear it in the back if you like too. So anyways, that's my favorite thing about this bag. So I will be recreating the same sort of strap style, because it's just really handy. Okay, so yeah, so I need to decide. I think so. This one's 1.5 inches. This one's 1.5 inches, I think. Less seam allowance. Yeah. So, oops. So yeah. So the piece of the leather itself is just a hair shy of being 1.5 inches, with like 3/8 seam allowance. So 3/8, 6/8, which is 3/4. So I need to add 3/4 to whatever depth I want the bag to be. So wait, how deep is that unusable? Rather than do the math, I'm just gonna look at my ruler. Yeah, that's only like 1 inch, and maybe 1/8. I think 2 inches would be too thick. So I'm gonna go with 1.5 inches of usable depth. Yeah, so if I do 1.5 inches of usable depth, then that's 2¼ inches total. Is that right? That's probably right. Fortunately, there's nobody for me to verify that with. Okay. And all of my machines are being used to... Wait, what did I say? I want it to be 1.5 inches. Yeah, 2¼ So that means that I need 2¼ by, that was 90, roughly 27. I wonder if this piece is getting big enough. Nope, that's not the piece I wanted. That's the piece I wanted. Sweet. just might make it. But I don't really, it's okay if it's a little shy because it's not a full 999 because I rounded the corners, which will shave off a little bit of linear inchage. That noise is a little too annoying. I wonder, it might be. But there's nobody here right now to ask, I don't think. I don't even know how to tell. How do you tell? I'm probably looking at the wrong screen. Okay. Well, I don't know what I'm doing, but I do know what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to go back to this. And it'll do. So it would have been wise for any of you wanting to do leather working or who actually already do, it would have been wise for me to start this project with a new razor, because this is one that I was working on a few other projects with, but I'm a little lazy like that at times. Damn it. There we go. Oops. Shoot. What am I doing? I don't know. Where's the mouse? Where's the damn mouse? Has it ever happened to you guys that just shit won't go? Okay. Just do it from here. There we go. What did I say? 2 1/4. tools. Okay. Look at that. Getting shit done. Okay, so now that I've decided on that, helps me visualize a little bit better. And obviously I'll square this off before I actually start sewing anything, but this is just part of the conceptualization process for me, because I sometimes find it a little bit difficult to really, when it comes down to the minutia, so I guess I really don't want to know, because I can, okay, see, this is what it's like when I project. It's ridiculous. There's a lot of internal conversation, false starts, especially when I'm just making something for the first time or modifying on like a version 2.0 of a project that I've done before. Is there's a lot of indecision in the process, because sometimes what I have as a sort of clear end product, I feel like a lot of times it sort of morphs during the process, and I've kind of found that the times that I let that happen, it usually works out better. So anyways, there's also a lot of stopping and staring off into the distance. I do pretty fucking good at that. I'll tell you that for free. Oh yeah, this will totally be long enough. Perfect. I'll have a little bit of leftover. Let's just pretend that's already like that. I think I'm probably going to want it about that long. Probably. But since I can only cut once, I'm going to just make a little mark there for myself for later. And sort of kick that decision down the road a few minutes. What time is it? Okay. See, this was I think I'm feeling a bit appreciative for myself, because anybody who's ever watched any of my videos before where I talk about this probably knows the just massive cloud of fear I had to work through in order to even get to the point where I'm streaming. Oh my god, somebody's here! Melty! Hi Melty, how are you? It's so good to see you. Or, well, see your characters on a screen. Hopefully that hasn't been there too long and I'm just noticing it, but welcome, my very first viewer on my very first live stream. Like, oh my goodness. I forgot what I was saying. Totally forgot what I was saying. Oh, but one of the things I think that was a little smart of me to do, knowing how much fear I had around this whole live streaming thing, is that like I have a absolute like must stop at time because I have to go do something later, and for some reason I think that somehow took the pressure off a little bit. Yeah, it has been ages. It's been forever. I hope you've been well. I've been a bit all over the place personally. It's been, I mean, I feel like it's always just kind of a weird and intense time, but it's been a weird and intense time. But yeah, here I am. How have you been? Have you been enjoying summertime? It has been kind of like, it's definitely hot here and hotter than I like it. I sometimes, like, I think I spend a lot of time kind of chasing the shade around. Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Um, but it has, if I'm being honest, the weather so far this summer has been much nicer than last year. We've only had a few days that have gotten like over 90. And yeah. But it is still like, I'm trying to, I don't know why I'm so weird about some shit sometimes, but for some reason I'm trying to not use an air conditioner. Well, there's lots of reasons, but I'm trying to not use an air conditioner this year, which means that I have to be very strategic with getting my windows. Here, I'll show you. So there's this gigantic window here that faces west. So the late part of the day gets a shit ton of passive solar through that window and will just pretty much cook the whole house. So I have to be strategic about getting that closed early in the day. But anyhow, blah blah blah, weather. I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. But yeah, so anyways, I'm just gonna keep doing what I'm doing. And Melty, you got anything you want to say, or if you want to direct my conversation in any way, then you're of course welcome to. Otherwise, I'm just kind of gonna go back to what I was doing, which was, what do I need to do next? I think next it would make sense to well, before I let me think about this. The order of operations always fucks me. Oh, it's his mom. Hello. Thank you. Thank you. I do feel a little bit brave. I did not send off an email. You are welcome to if you'd like to. The only reason I didn't was because I wasn't 100% certain until like right now that I wasn't going to have a complete freak out suddenly and be like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. Yeah, that's the only reason I did not. Yeah. See that, I'm glad you said that, Melty. That makes me feel like, I don't know. I've got people who can appreciate this timing thing with me on the windows. Thank you. But yeah, so I didn't even own an air conditioner until probably uh, God, it was the summer of 2021. I think it was, because that was the year. Or wait, was it? Yeah, because the summer of 2020 was, I mean, that was the year that everything kind of fell apart for everybody in so many ways. But at the end of that summer was the first time that we had really, really bad smoke here in the city. For like, I mean, it's always something that has like come up, a few days here and there. But that summer of 2020 was pretty intense. And then the following summer was looking like it was gonna follow suit, and I had a housemate at the time, and the upstairs is where the other bedroom is in the house, and there's like, I mean, the house is pretty old, and I don't think there's very much insulation left, so it's pretty much an attic up there, like the roof or ceiling of the room is pitched, and so it gets quite boilsome up there. So I did get an air conditioner from up there, but then later on that same summer, it just got brutal. Like, it was just so hot so many days, and it wasn't cooling down at night. So I did end up having to invest in, by way of fucking Craigslist, crazy ass day of just, I ended up buying 2 like window unit air conditioners. But the other thing about this house is that there's not all of the windows open, and not even all of the windows that are intended to open, which means that there's really only a couple of places that I can even put an air conditioner, and it's also just hella expensive, and I am choosing to not have a housemate at this time, because it is my preference to live by myself, but it is also obviously twice as expensive for household things to not have a housemate. And so yeah, if I can avoid having an air conditioner, since there is nobody upstairs, I've kind of just like closed the door to the upstairs so that the heat doesn't come down. yeah, anyways, yeah, so thank you, Winston's mom, for shooting off an email to people. How do I even, is there, oh, you know what I could do? Actually, let's see if I can do this. I wonder, okay, hopefully I'm not about to show y'all anything that you don't need to see, but I think I set this up right. Maybe? Yeah. Okay, cool. Look at me go. I don't know how to, maybe if I just, yeah, do that. Jen Zenial gave me a OBS lesson like a month or so ago. Spent like several hours out of his busy life just to kind of walk me through the process. And I mean, as we know, Jensen is just amazing. Boba Fett! Hello! I'm streaming. So terrifying. I have to keep reminding myself that if I embarrass myself too much, well, one, you're all friends and that's fine, but that I can also delete this later. Like, I've set up sort of mental, crow drama outside the window. I've set up sort of like fail-safes, I guess, in my mind to help me work through the fear. Like, I can stop anytime I want. I can delete it if I want to, like all sorts of just little things like that. Yeah. Anyhow, so I am not sure how loud it's gonna be if I try and hammer shit. So we're gonna have to see how this goes. But I don't think I'm quite there yet, anyways. We doing leather, man. Yeah, I've gotten super into it lately. I don't know if I've ever even shown you guys, but like last year, I know some of you, like I know Winston's mom has seen it, but last winter, I've sort of dipped in and out of fucking around with leather for many years, and making different things. But then I had a masquerade party to go to last year, and you know, usually when challenged with something like that, I like to make things rather than buy them, especially if I can't find anything that I like. So I made, I could do it on this screen. So I made this guy, which is, you know, just a, I don't know, Lord of the Forest kind of mask. And yeah, that ended up being such a fun process that it sort of reinvigorated a lot of my interest in leatherworking, and somehow magically it's almost like my skill level somehow subconsciously was leveling up in some way, kind of like, I don't know, like if you ever learn about doing something or do something a few times and then, you know, you fall asleep that night, and it's almost like there's, in the electron wash that happens in the brain during sleep, there's just something that kind of happens in background programming that allows you to learn it better. And it seems as though something sort of similar happened with leather, because like, yeah, like I said, I've dipped in for a long time, but I don't know, something's different about this time around, so go figure. But yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh, I could be reading this out loud. When I was a kid, says Winston's mom, sorry, Winston's mom, says Winston's mom. When I was a kid, people hung out around outside. They would raise the garage doors, and dads hung out in the garage with other dads. Moms mommed, and kids played games in the garage. Yeah. Oh my God, Jen Zennial's here too. Thank you again so much for this lesson. I mean, as you can see, I think I kind of remembered at least some of it. It seems to be working, and it is 100% thanks to you. Yeah, Winston's mom, I feel like I never lived in a neighborhood that was like that, but I feel like I did have a couple of friends when I was a kid who did live in neighborhoods that where, I don't know if it was so much like dads hanging out in the garage, but the garage door did seem to be open and seemed to be sort of like the outside sort of living room or like the semi-outside foyer. Um, but yeah, I don't even have a garage. That would be nice though. I bet it'd be fucking cool in a garage right now. Um, yeah, I like that. I like thinking. Ooh, I like thinking of that as kind of having my garage doors open, um, metaphorically speaking. Put it on and show us. Oh, the mask. Um, okay, I have to take my glasses off to do it, so I won't be able to see anything for a minute. But so yeah, and then on one of the sides here, oh, I added some little crystally bits because I do kind of have a thing for prisms. So there you go. And it's made from quite thin leather and wet molded, and so it's very, I don't know how much it weighs, but like the fixtures that I added to it, like these are pretty heavy, these round brass bits here, and that's probably the heaviest singular part. Even the copper is pretty light here, but yeah, the leather itself is really quite light. I don't think it would be particularly weatherproof. Like this one more so. I made a few other ones, and the blue dye seems to bleed a lot more. So I'm not sure. That's kind of one of the reasons why I haven't, like, well, I mean, one of the many reasons why I haven't tried to like make more to sell them, is because I feel like, I don't know, I don't want to. I want to hone in on the process a little bit more first. Oh my gosh. Anyways, thank you, Winston's mom. Yeah, wood folks, I love it. Yeah, I don't actually know how long it takes me to make anything. That's not true. I did, I'd say probably a few hours. I mean, it's many hours in total, but a lot of it is inactive time because, so, okay, so like to make this one first, I had the sort of like general shape of like eye holes and like all of this stuff. And then, you soak it in water, and I use warm but not like, or, warm to hot but not like boiling water. Um, and then it's a matter of kind of like taking it out of the water, waiting for it to dry a little bit because it won't hold shape when it's too wet. And it's kind of a, honestly, it's kind of a strange process because like I don't have like a styrofoam head or uh, like a human sized mannequin head or anything like that. So I have to use my own face to kind of like shape it into like face-ish shape. And that's always kind of a little strange, especially because, I have contacts, but I don't really like to wear them. They're not super comfortable and I don't see very well. So it's usually a process of me for a little while being in the bathroom mirror with like trying to like get the mask to like start to hold some shape, and then kind of like putting my glasses on and being like, ooh, how's that? And then you gotta like wait for it to dry a little bit more and then tweak it again. And especially if you're trying to get like the fine lines to hold, then it needs to be like there's a point where the like dampness content is just perfect for it taking the shape and then holding it. And like this is also vegetable tanned leather, so like that's the natural color of it here. So after it's completely dry, then there's a process of dyeing it and sealing the dye, and all of that. So I don't actually know. That was a very long answer to a very short question. I'd say several hours. I don't know. Like that one, I made it all over the course of several days, but obviously not like more like dipping in a candle like a little bit here and there. Oh, I think you're the best, Zenio. Oh no, bad back lately. I feel that. Sounds like it's time for a new gaming chair. I don't know how much the custom booths at Ren fairs charge for leather products. Um, I Yeah, I have no idea. I've never looked into it. I certainly don't have anywhere near enough. What's that called? Uh, Inventory to really even look into it. I do have an Etsy page, and it's one of those things, kind of like live streaming, where I think about it a lot, but there's a lot of like, I guess, TESE stuff involved with the actual doing of the thing and figuring out of the doing of the thing. But I kind of have a feeling that Etsy is probably going to be the better place for me to start to try and get some stuff out there once I work through those blocks, which at this point are mostly like writing the description, taking the pictures, figuring out how to take the pictures in such a way that things look cool and appealing. Like, that's definitely not a strong suit. And then writing about it, that's also not really my thing, but I'm probably better at that than taking the pictures. And then, of course, also like doing the actual, like, adding all of that shit to the website. But I think overall, that's probably going to be a lower barrier of entry, generally speaking, than doing a Ren fair, just because there's a kind of wide variety of things that I like to make. Like I just made this yesterday. It's just a little simple, tiny little cuff, and then I just sewed in it with some pretty, I don't know if you can see this is fag, which is a word that I am allowed to use about myself. I would not take kindly to most other people using it on me, but contextually dependent, of course. But yeah, so I like to make a variety of things, and like to do the Ren Fair thing, I think I would have to have enough inventory that, like, there's no way to get that amount of inventory without a huge amount of time and also a really huge financial investment in terms of just supplies. Leather's not super cheap, so I'm trying to sort of instead more look at it in terms of baby steps. That's what I'm trying to do. What is that called? So leather cod pieces? That's what you're recommending? That's funny. Yeah, and like I know, like, I've had a couple of friends, sort of ask about making like a harness, like a leather harness. I had a friend asked if I made, what are they called? Floggers. And like, I'm pretty sure I could figure out how to do both of things. And I did make one harness that also, along with the mask here, was part of my New Year's Eve costume. And yeah, like, that is, yeah, there's lots of things that I could do, but it's a matter of, yeah, I don't know, a matter of, I guess part of it's time, part of it's like energy management, and just being in general a bit scattered. I have not been to Burning Man, Boba Fett, no. I don't think I was meant for being in the desert. Like, in some ways, I think overall, my feelings about Burning Man are probably fairly complex. But some parts of it sound kind of neat. More parts of it sound just like not something I'd super want to do. Like, that's the sort of thing where, like, if it were our way and in the forest, then I'd probably be more likely to day trip that shit. But like, going out for several days, literally in the middle of the desert, just, especially where I am right now, like, since the summer of 2020, like, I know y'all here have some context for shit, but, ooh, Rach, hey Rach, how's it going? But yeah, in the summer of 2020, there is this, like, there was a lot of fires, and it was really smoky and really awful, and it was like right on the heels of that my auntie Pam died, and then it was like a month and a half after that Nairi died, and then it was lesser losses, the tree, the cat, my friend, like just all in a pretty short period of time. So now there's this like association that I've really been noticing the last couple of summers, where like when it's really hot and really dry, and it's just like there's no place to escape the sun, like the weather kind of like, I don't want to use the word trigger, but it definitely it tickles my hypervigilance. Let's just say that, and so I find it a little bit harder to keep myself emotionally regulated when it's super hot, and even like there's this place only like probably 25 minutes out of town called Rooster Rock, and it's an awesome beach, and there's this one part that's like a nude gay beach basically, and kind of like a favorite sort of gathering spot for a bunch of different people that I'm friends with, and I love going out there. But even out there, there have been a couple of times on super hot days where I literally just, I had to go like find, even if it was just a little scrub brush, just because I needed to be out of the sun. Like I just needed just the tiniest bit of shade. And there are ways around that, whatever. Lots of people have sunshades now, and that does make it a lot better. But I guess my point is that no, I don't have any desire to do Burning Man, provided that it involves having to go into a desert. That was a super long, yammery fucking answer. Oh wait, I'm missing things in the chat. Oh, I got a mouse for just this reason. There we go, and now it's even working. Yay. Tied to nine tails is what they used to call those leather rips. Yeah, I'm not sure. There's I think there's a lot of different things, like little, leather tools. I'm sure if I reached out to one of my friends in the BDSM community, they could probably give me lots of ideas of things they'd like me to make. Oh, that's right, getting close. Only another like month and a half till that Starfield comes out. Yeah, furniture is a giant purchase. I think, Boba, I don't mind you asking. I think, Boba, that I'm a 945. I'm not 100% about the order there, except that if I'm forced to choose just one, it does seem that 9 is my lead. But yeah, it seems like 9, 4, and 5 are the most predominant ones. But I'm not entirely sure. It makes sense though, because like those are the 3 withdrawn types, and while I do have sometimes kind of a difficult time seeing myself, I can really easily see that like that like disappearing or just withdrawing away. I mean that definitely fits. Like that definitely fits. Not that I will always do that, but that I think that's sort of my natural inclination. Coffee, so good. Okay, what am I doing? What was I gonna do? I'm just gonna square this sound off real quick, so I can at least pretend that I'm getting something done, and that you all hopefully find it somewhat entertaining. You have 4 and 5 in yours too, don't you, Bobo? It wasn't. Am I remembering that right? I don't know if I am. I feel like I make that one. I did. That one is here. Can you guys hear? So I live not that far from I don't know what it's called. It's a speedway or a raceway, a place where they drive cars really fast around in circles. Yes, I am making a bag, and it's not that far. I can hear it, and it looks like maybe the mic is picking it up a little bit. But can you guys hear that at all? Anyways, yeah. So Rach, this is a bag that I made like 6 weeks ago that I've been super happy with, but it's not perfect. And so I wanted to make one that was a little bit wider and a little bit longer and a little bit deeper. And also like I literally like copied my favorite paper overalls to that was the inspiration for this bag, was my favorite overalls, because I was like, whoa, can't wear overalls all the time, but in the times when I can't, at least I can have the pockets. But I found that with the leather being so thin, which I like, it just this whole second round of pockets just ended up being kind of sort of useless. It's only using one or the other that seems to work. And I'm not sure that I'm gonna do the zippered pouch in the back this time either, because that just took a huge amount of effort, because it's all hand sewn. I definitely don't have a sewing machine capable of handling leather at this gauge. I maybe could have done some of this on my old solid state Singer, but that would require pulling it out of the basement and getting it tuned up, which just seemed like an awful lot of work. So I did hand sew it all, and that's just a lot of fucking stitches, and adds just a huge amount of time, because then there's also, all of the stitches there and on the other side. So I don't know that I'm going to do the pocket again, but in case y'all missed me just waxing eloquent about that's not the right phrasing, but whatever. Anyways, going on and on about the strap, like, I am super happy with the strap I made, because it's adjustable, so I can either wear it around my waist so the bag is kind of like a fanny pack, or I can make it longer and wear it either across the front or the back, which is just pretty much exactly how I like bags to work. Do you remember the quote I posted? Yeah, I do. It's interesting, Winston's mom, that, thank you so much, Rachel. That has been on. Thank you so much. That is very, very sweet, Melty. And I hope it's okay that I call you Melty. I feel like I'm not sure. Waxing poetic, yes, thank you, Jen Zennial. That was it. But okay, sorry, my brain. Okay, Winston's mom. Yeah, that is something I'm curious about. I've listened to some videos, and while I don't have any definitive answers, I will say that there are several ways in which the notion of being high masking autistic does sound like it might fit. I'm not sure. I don't know. I actually now have insurance. I've had it for a few months. I just haven't gotten around to doing anything with it yet. But I do have an appointment in like August with a doctor who hopefully I will like enough to make my primary care physician. And so I've kind of been thinking about I haven't actually done any of this yet, but I've been kind of thinking about, because it's been a few years since I've been to the doctor outside of I think there was 1 month. It wasn't that long, but like I've definitely been slacking a little bit on that, and so there's some stuff that's kind of just been piling up, and so I've been thinking about the list of things that I should bring with me to sort of discuss with this potential primary care physician, and that is okay, good. I'm so glad. Um, and that is kind of one of the things that I'm going to put on there to ask about. I'm also going to ask probably my therapist. I've been seeing the same therapist for a few years now, and I only see him, I think it's like once every 6 weeks now, for reasons. But I think I've got an appointment sometime in the next week and a half or 2 weeks or so. It's coming up soon. So I think I am just going to float it out there just to sort of see what he says. I don't know. One of the other things, though, is that it seems as though many of the sources that I've been listening to sort of talk about how, a person might have, what's it called? Like difficulty with social engagements or reading social cues. And I kind of feel like maybe that doesn't apply unless it is possible that I'm looking at it through a wrong lens. Because like in-person peopling, I it's almost the opposite where I can't not see the sort of like vibe. Um, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think that's possible. I don't think there's enough data to know if that's the case or not. Oh, I should be reading that out loud. Yeah, anyways. Yada, yada, yada. What was I saying? Anyhow, I don't know. Like, I definitely do feel like uh, there are times when I'm not okay, I don't know if this is gonna make sense or if this is gonna be accurate, but I'm just gonna try. So, like, I feel like in terms of interacting with people, if I am in person or at least visually getting the data too, then I really don't have most of the time a whole lot of problems figuring out like even subtle cues. But when like in chat, like that has been mind blowing. And prior to talking with famous people, I'd never really spent time in chats, um, and definitely hadn't interacted with them. So it's kind of been interesting to see how I'm just so much more than half blind when I only have words on a screen. Um, so I don't know what any of that means, but I don't know. I'm curious. Um, Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could be it. And I mean, it does seem. Yeah, okay, so what is shape constancy? I'm not even familiar with that phrase. Mm, going into a kitchen. Ah, interesting. I don't know that that is the sort of. Mm, there are times when I've been living with people when something has been changed in the environment, and I may not even necessarily notice or be able to figure out exactly what it is immediately, but something about the space will just feel different, and then it will become a little bit like a trying to figure out what's different about it. Um, Oh, okay. Okay. Shape constancy, looking at a lighter from any direction and recognizing it as a lighter regardless. Yeah, that I don't think, unless it's very subtle or I'm completely just blind to myself, I don't think that's a thing for me. I don't think that's something that I struggle with. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Like I said, this is not something. I mean, obviously, it's something I thought about before because I did ask a therapist, previous one, golly, many years ago. Well, okay, not many, but probably like less than 15, more than 6 years ago. I did ask a therapist her opinion on whether or not she thought I might be on the spectrum, and uh, I mean, I think she probably couched it in terms of like, this isn't a diagnostic, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. But what it sort of boiled down to is, I don't think so, although she did kind of point at, like, I'm really comfortable. It almost feels like kind of the opposite of what I've sort of read about autism, although again, I'm pretty ignorant about it. I don't really know a whole lot about it in general. But it seems as though that people on the spectrum, it seems, will have difficulties with abstract metaphors. And I don't necessarily have a problem with abstract metaphors at all. I feel like that's kind of the water I swim in. I think I sort of sometimes seem to have a disconnect in taking the abstract metaphors and applying them in a way that is more literal. So it's like I'm just kind of always out in the ether, which I think is, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Bob Ross. Oh, Bob Ross, that's the Happy Cloud Man, isn't it? I liked watching his stuff when I was a kid. Um, Happy Little Trees. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like I said that's something that I will probably find out more about, and it'll be curious and interesting. I don't feel a particular emotional attachment to either outcome of where those questions or whatever might lead. It'll either be informative or it's not, and I think even though I'm pretty ignorant on how autism and ASD works, I do, in the particulars, I do have several people in my life who are on the spectrum, and so, I know that there are people in my community that I could definitely reach out to as well. Yeah, yeah. Um, Interesting. I haven't been to an art museum in a really long time. I think I've only been to, well, I mean, honestly, the most recent time I was at a museum wasn't even for the museum, it was for like a gala that was happening there that had a drag show. Um, it was super fun. That was pre-COVID. And there are so many, like, I don't know, shameful. There are so many great museums here in the city, and I haven't even, like, a couple of them I've been to once. Most of them I haven't been to at all. Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I am going to have to shut this down relatively soon. I have friend, I don't even know exactly what it is, and I can't look at my phone because it's busy doing other things. But a friend had asked me if I would join her at this thing today. She's got a booth and it's a party, and I don't know, something about there being a cake competition and raffles. And I think, I'm not sure exactly what the proceeds go to, but knowing the person that organizes it, I'm thinking maybe queer youth or under resourced queer folks in the community here in town. But anyway, so I'm doing that for a few hours, and then it's also Blow Pony Night, which is my favorite dance party of the month. So that's my plans for later this evening. So yeah, so just to give you all a heads up, I'm not sure exactly what time it is now, but I think I'm gonna have to shut this down around. Oh, I have a clock on my phone. Freaking computer! I could look. 10 to 2. Yeah, so like probably between 10 past and quarter past 2, I'm gonna have to stop. Uh oh, what did I just do? Uh oh, where did the chat go? Okay, well, you guys can still see it. It's just, that's too tiny. That one? Yeah, okay, cool. I know. It has flown by. Like, yeah. There's always a lot going on in Portland. I mean, it's a city. Um, I have been lucky that I've kind of, over the years, like, I mean, it seems like I'm on the one hand kind of always doing stuff. I mean, which is definitely not true. Like I'm okay. It seems like pretty much every Saturday night I have something fun to go out and do, usually involving dancing because that's what I like to do. Um, and I've just kind of been here long enough, I think, and that I've been able to hone in on the few different things that I just really love, and just keep doing them over and over and over again. So yeah, like Blow Pony is, like I said, it's my favorite dance night out overall, and in a ways like it may be unusual to say something like this, but it's very it's a very sacred space to me, and it feels very much like church, depending on how one perceives the idea of church. If one perceives the idea of church of being a place of like joy and celebration and gratitude, then that's kind of what it's like. It's basically, so it's a big gay dance night. There's always really interesting going out costumes and outfits that people have on. There's all kinds of different ages of people. There's all kinds of different bodies. They always have go-go dancers up on the front stage, and there's like, oh my gosh, there's got to be like 10 or 12, maybe even more than that, that kind of like rotate on and off the stage over the course of the night. And again, variety of shapes and ages and genders and gender expressions, and then usually around midnight, and then also around like 1:30 or 2, there will be a few drag performers, and so it's just it's a really beautiful space. Like there's I don't even know if I could come up with words to describe it, but it's a place that so many people are just being who they are. And oh gosh, I hope I don't make myself cry. And I might make myself cry. There's just people being who they are and reveling and enjoying being who they are, and in a place that is safe for them to do that. And those places of safety are passing few, so, and becoming more so with time. And so it not only has such beauty inherently, but it feels very precious right now because it is something that is just a bit rare. Oh gosh, I missed. Yeah, I mean, I find that I'm not sure what the Tree of Life comment was about boba exactly, but I do definitely. That's a metaphor that I think applies to in a variety of ways in life, and one that I kind of think about often. And maybe there's something to that, and I have no idea if this is even what you meant at all, but like, I think one of the reasons why like spaces like Blow Pony, for example, why they feel so good to me is that, um, like you said, as above, so below. So like the ways in which I allow myself to just be who I am and be present and joyful with that are also passing few and pretty precious. So maybe that's one of the things that appeals. It's almost like projecting in a way that's not negative. My personal experience um, onto the larger experience of Blow Pony. um, May I scientist for a second? Oxytocin is connected to such life-affirming activities as maternal behavior, lactation, selective social bonding, and sexual pleasure. Um, yeah, that makes sense. Oxytocin. That's the feel good one, isn't it? Um, the your forearm one. Okay, so this is yarrow, which is a plant that grows wild, I think, in pretty much all over the world in many, many climates. It's anti-inflammatory, styptic. It's got lots of medicinal uses, but first one I ever used it for was as an anti-inflammatory. So that's yarrow, and then that is calendula. There was originally supposed to be a third one being chamomile, but then COVID happened, and now I just don't have the money to finish that up. But yarrow, it's yeah, close. It's actually, I can. Sure, that's. Oops, that's not even right. There we go. Yarrow. Yeah, I think it's like Achilles milliformis or something like that. It's a really helpful plant, and you can use it for headaches. Like I said, it's a styptic; it will stop bleeding. I think it's also good for an insect repellent, if I recall. I feel like years ago I made a bug spray that came out pretty good. It doesn't have a super long, like, it doesn't last very long. You need to apply it pretty frequently because it doesn't have anything like super bad, and it was mostly just herbs and essential oils. But I'm pretty sure that yarrow might have been in that. Yeah, I know. Okay, so Boba Fett, um, I sat on the idea of getting a tattoo. Like, I got my first one when I was like, I don't know, just barely legal to get them, so like 18. And then I got my second and third one within a couple of years of that, and then I didn't for like 20 years. So at first there was just, one on my ankle, one kind of on my hip pelvis kind of area, and then this moon, and then I didn't get one for like 25 years, and then when this within the spaces, like, once I broke the seal, which this one was the or calendula was the one that broke the seal, and then I don't remember which one came next. Maybe it was cupcake, and then yarrow, and then the knuckles, and then the third one was the last one, and that was in February of 2020. But yeah, you'll do it when the time is right for you. I'm also, like, it's so funny, I actually have a few friends who are tattoo artists, none of whom I've worked with yet because I'm just at a time where I'm like hella broke, and yeah, getting a tattoo is definitely not on my financial list right now. But I seem to be setting myself up with there's some amazing artists in my extended friend group, which is pretty cool. The moon phases one, I don't know that it was any more painful than any of the other ones. Like, it's, getting a tattoo, it's a little stingy. It's definitely not the most comfortable feeling, but I've never found it particularly awful either. What I will say is that it was absolutely a lot more anxiety inducing than the first one, or than any of the other ones. Especially going over, like, it wasn't super bad doing either of the moons on the side, but the one in the center where they had to go over the esophagus, because, like, obviously the whole purpose of this esophagus is vibration, right? So what was just really disconcerting was that when he was doing the center part, I could feel the vibration from my skull all the way through down, like, my sternum. And it was really anxiety inducing. Plus, it was just, like, laid out for like 2.5 hours, I think was about how long it took overall, with like a rolled up pillow or blanket under my neck. So it's a vulnerable position to be in. But the person who did my knuckles also did my neck. So, and I had had the knuckles done first. And it's guy Michael, who owns Blue Ox Tattoos, right up the road from me. And he's just a fabulous guy and did such a great job of making me feel so, like, comfortable and at ease. And also he's a trans guy, which does make a difference. I'm not sure that with my just particular life experiences, I would be super comfortable. Like, I'd have to probably know if it was a cis guy that was, like, as burly as Michael is. I probably would have had to have known them a little bit better before I was comfortable enough to be in that position with them. Oh my gosh, Miss Fortune! Hello! That's so exciting! Gold charm, please, my charms. I like tattoos. Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, I have, in my bedroom, on, kind of like hanging on a lamp, is my Aunt Pam's charm bracelet. And I think she actually had a couple because she worked at a jewelry store for like 30 something years in Boston. But I do have at least, one of them with some of her charms on it. And yeah, it was very obvious that her intention with choosing the charms was meant to, be a little reminder to herself of the things that she loves or brought herself joy to look at. Oh, thank you. Thank you for saying it has been marvelous. It has been, like, this has been, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm pretty sure that I probably smell a little bit like sweat, like that stress sweat. Like, I definitely, like, I don't know why. I didn't need to share that. Why? See, this is like, why? But anyways, so yeah, physiologically, stress inducing or not, I think overall. Oh my God, Johnson Basanti, it's so good to see your face, or not your face, your words on the screen. I am really grateful for all of you. Like, thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for being so validating and kind and sweet and complimentary. Yeah. Oh, oversharing is one of the things on the spectrum list. Oh my God. Yeah, it does. Like I said, in some ways, the more I learn, the more I'm like, well, if that does end up being the case, then, that will definitely make some puzzle pieces kind of fit a little bit. And also in some ways, like, also raise some questions of, like, how could one not know that until they're almost 50? Bananas. That's just bananas. Or how could one not have had anybody ever notice that about them? But then again, also, like, I have a lisp, and I've always had a lisp, and it's always been there. Plenty of people have commented on it, but it's one of those things that apparently just falls enough below the line where it's just subtle enough where just nobody ever noticed enough to, like, I never had to do like speech therapy or anything like that. So yeah, maybe that's it. Yeah, that's it exactly. That's an excellent way of putting it. Melty is good to see words on a screen behind your username and your silly ass profile picture. Although I don't know that they're. I mean, some of them are silly. Um, some of them are pretty cool. Most of the time, I can't even fucking tell what they are because at least probably 3/4 of the time that I'm like on a stream, I am. Yeah, it is very subtle. I'm on my phone, so like those pictures are so tiny that it's really just like mostly the predominant color that I'm picking up on. Yeah, it is subtle. It's, you know what it is like. So let me. What's that? Like, I think if I say a lot of things, like Sally sells seashells by the seashore, it's not. I don't even know that it so much qualifies as a lisp as a just maybe lazy tongue or something. I don't know the thing, but most people when they make the sound, their tongue goes directly to the back of their front teeth. And for some reason, mine has always gone off to the side, so it just muddies it a little bit. So yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, subtlety. Yeah, it's definitely subtle. Which, you know, maybe this whole ASD thing would be just sort of something similar, where it's like it's there, but I'm also pretty, I guess, you know, like functional in the world in most ways. So maybe I just never met a barrier. Um, Oh, I haven't been on the Discord in super long. What does John's latest profile picture uh, seem to be? Jay. Yeah. um, yeah. uh, Alright, I think I'm gonna roll myself a smoke. I'll be right back. Actually, you know, I am gonna sign off in a few, but first, I also, yeah, I'll be back in a minute. I'm back. What did I miss? You should read his username. Okay. Italian sausage. I was tested for ADHA, and the neurologist was just like, "You are who you are." Wait, what is AD? I'm not even sure if it reads that. I also have an optometrist appointment because I definitely need new glasses. What's AD? Do you mean ADHD or is ADHA something different that I've just not heard of. ADHD. Oh, it says it right there. Okay. Scroll down, please. Scroll down. Yeah, I've never been tested for that either. My ex-husband was diagnosed with ADHD, and I don't know. Like, as I've gotten older, and I don't know if it's just an aspect of like culture, but like my ability to pay attention to a singular thing, while I don't think it was ever super good to begin with, I think it's definitely maybe gotten less good as I've gotten older. And I don't know if that's a me thing or if that's just the way the world has moved, kind of inspires people to be more ADHD. I mean, 130 characters, 60-second shorts. I don't even do the TikTok or whatever, but like those, I think the few that I've seen all seem to be relatively short. So it's like a lot of input that we could partake in, a lot of media that we could partake in is priming us to only pay attention to short, fantastical things. It's interesting though, Rach, because like in my sort of doing a little bit of research here about the ADHD thing, or no, about the ASD thing, there have been some people who were like, not, I don't know, is diagnosed even the right word? But who didn't know until they were well into adulthood. And I guess there are some doctors that people have told stories about where it's like, well, you're this age and you've been getting by this long, so what difference does it even really make? Kind of in a not very affirming way of engaging with one's healthcare provider. So I don't know. I mean, each experience is, I'm sure, going to be different. Yeah, exactly. We have however many distractions we want, and boy, is that, like, I think that it's so funny, like, that has been, we're going to end this on a real casual note, folks, because I do want to have a cigarette, so we're going to leave the table here, and I'm going to unplug you guys here and bring you with me. But in this whole, like, getting to the point of actually, like, streaming this, gross, it's getting hot out. I have noticed that, like, I don't know, like, there's, like, I think my natural, even though the desire to, like, create and put stuff out there, I don't know if it's great that my address is, whatever, it's fine. But, shit. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is that, like, I think it's, like, I do like to perceive, I like to take in content, whether it's music or video or, like, audio podcast style type stuff. And, like, I had this kind of thought over and over, that's like, that some part of me uses that taking in as a way to avoid doing other things, because if I'm always watching what other people are doing, or if I'm always listening to what other people are saying, then that kind of lets me off the hook for being the one who's doing the sharing, or for being the one who's doing the thinking and the deciding about what seems more true for me. So yeah, it's really, yes, we get to go outside now. Yeah, the sunshine's fucking intense too. Like, here, I'll show you. As you can see, like, I do water every day. It's on an irrigation system, which allows it to pretty efficiently keep everything going. But even so, it's just like, it's getting to be that time of year where just the relative humidity is really low, and so there's just, yeah, it's getting to be that time of year. All of my yarrow in my backyard are starting to get crunchy. Yeah, exactly. Or taking stuff in instead of reflecting on our own things. It's totally true. I think part of it, like, again, like this, like, miasma of, like, fear and uncertainty that, I've been kind of working through to, like, even get to be just here with, all, however many of you are. And, like, you're also, like, kind and wonderful and awesome, like, but still, regardless of the reality, the anticipatory fear and anxiety was there. And, yeah, I forgot what I was gonna say. Damn it. Oh, yeah, that's what it's part of it is like I really struggle with perfectionism. So like a part of me was like, well, if I'm going to be on stream and put myself out there in a way, then I only want to be putting out there the like best parts of myself. So like I don't want to be smoking because that's a gross dirty habit that like I don't feel super good about. And like all of these internal judgments that I have against myself that are really limiting, because like at the end of the day, I don't think any of you are expecting me to be perfect. And I think that for the most part, I know that the people in my life that I either, know personally or parasocially, or whatever, but like the things that I appreciate about the people who create anything or show up are that they do it from a place of authenticity. Like that's something that I find worthy of being looking up to, and like, yeah, it's I don't have to be perfect, which is good because I'm never going to get there. And if that was the expectation of myself, well, I'm just fucked. I'm setting myself up for failure. Yeah, it's been really easy to be avoidant in general. Yeah. Melty, you're funny. 0% humidity. Yeah, that sounds about right. This is here? This is in Portland. Yeah, I think. Oh God, high of 88. Oh, interesting. Oh, damn, my laptop is getting a bit hot to be on my lap. All right. Well, like I said, it is now. Oh shit, I'm running a little late. It's now 2:20, and I said that I would end this around 2:10 or 2:15. Oh, good golly, you guys. I'm gonna read that one out loud just because it feels so good. I want to hear it again in my head. I feel like you sitting on the porch and just talking and taking cues from chat from time to time seems so right, like it doesn't make sense that it didn't already exist for a long time. And misfortune following up with a true dad. Oh my God, you guys. Thank you so much for making this first very scary seeming thing in reality be something that was so easy and so fun and so good. Just good. Just good all around. I will definitely do this again because, in large part, all of you guys are so fucking awesome. Alright, I'm gonna figure out how to shut this off. There'll probably be a few awkward seconds until I figure out how to do that. But, yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you again just for being you and being here and allowing me to just be me. Like, words just don't have gratitude for that. Don't forget to be kind and gentle with yourselves, and I will see you soon.